I'm now going to take you through the steps needed to develop a viable recovery strategy for your organization. You're going to learn how to design a comprehensive recovery strategy to ensure that your organization can meet recovery time objectives for critical functions. Now that you've performed the business impact analysis, you're aware of what business functions are most critical to your organization and the timeframes in which these activities need to be resumed. We will use the business impact analysis data to design the recovery strategy. Once we have identified a recovery strategy, then you will have your roadmap for recovery procedures. A recovery strategy is a course of action designed to achieve resumption of critical functions within required timeframes. Of course, these timeframes for resumption of critical functions and recovery resources are referred to as recovery time objectives, or simply RTOs. Recovery strategies should be developed for all critical business functions. You will need to decide how to scope recovery for your organization. The scope and structure of your recovery strategy will depend on your business size, number of locations, and number of departments. You may choose to develop one comprehensive recovery strategy for one location. However, if your organization has multiple locations, it is preferable to develop recovery strategies for each location. If each location has multiple departments that will recover independently, then it is wise to develop unique recovery strategies for each department. If you develop multiple recovery strategies for your organization, you need to ensure that they can work together. Recovery resources are shared among departments. Additionally, ensure that departmental dependencies have been considered. Be sure to work with your advisor to scope the recovery strategy work and to ensure that strategy coordination has been effectively addressed during this process. Recovery strategies will need to be developed for business functions, information technology, telecommunications, and so on. For each critical business function, combination of functions, or location, you will need to address certain elements for a recovery strategy. Location. Where will you work if you're unable to access your usual office space? Business applications and systems. How will you recover information technology? How will you work in the interim period that applications and systems are not readily available to you? Telecommunications. How will you communicate with employees, customers, and vendors without your telephone, email, or fax lines operable? Equipment. How will you quickly procure computers, printers, servers, telephones, etc. that are necessary to resume operations? Vital records. How will you restore hard copy documents and electronic files if they are destroyed or lost during a disaster? Staffing. Who will work on the recovery team? Third parties. How will you resume operations with third-party vendors or operators that you depend upon to perform critical business functions? How will you function if your third party is not operating? Now let's open your recovery strategy template located in your document library. For the purposes of this tutorial, we will use a recovery strategy template that has already been pre-populated with strategy information. This tool provides you a simple method to document your business recovery strategies by location, department, etc. IT recovery strategies are discussed in detail in the IT Recovery Strategy Work module. Please refer to that module for guidance on how to best document the IT recovery strategies. Even though business recovery and IT strategies are documented separately, bear in mind that these strategies need to be linked. IT recovery strategies depend on computer applications and services that the business requires to recover critical business functions. Therefore, IT recovery strategies must align with business RTOs. The first recovery element to be addressed is location. As you scroll over the center column, Pre-Planned Recovery Strategy, you will see that there is a drop-down menu here. The drop-down list for each recovery component listed gives you suggestions for possible strategies for recovery. For example, if you open the drop-down menu in this column for the location component, you will see suggestions appear for selection. There is a wide selection of recovery strategies and combinations thereof available to recover critical functions. An organization should carefully weigh the cost of adopting a particular recovery strategy compared to the actual impact of not recovering a critical business function. The column entitled Details of Recovery Strategy is provided so that you can document how you propose to meet the recovery strategy. In our example, we chose to relocate to another facility for the location component. In the Details column, we indicate that a company site will be determined at the time of the business interruption. Recovery strategy options will be more costly the shorter the recovery time objective. Recovery strategies may take time to develop and implement as a recovery procedure. It may be necessary to acquire or contract for the resources needed to fully implement a strategy. Therefore, it is important to keep track of strategies being implemented and consider having manual workarounds or alternate procedures in place if a business interruption occurs prior to implementing a strategy fully. This is not an uncommon situation for organizations that are developing recovery plans. After you have identified your preliminary recovery strategies, consult with your advisor as to the viability of the proposed recovery strategy selection. Once finalized, the strategies and associated costs should be reviewed and approved by your management team. You may cut and paste the table from the spreadsheet into your Ready Plan for reference during a business interruption. Alternatively, you may upload the completed worksheets back to the document library or attach them to the Ready Plan page. Consult your advisor on the best method to record your recovery strategy. Your next step is to take the recovery strategy and develop a tactical set of procedures to enable you to activate the strategy in the event that you need to execute your recovery plan. Move to the Business Continuity section of your Ready Plan and consult with your advisor on how to do this. Review the Business Continuity Work module before you get started. Thanks, and bye for now.